such a fool to give him my attention.
You cannot refuse him. You must not.
But Mameha,
What is he to think? He safeguarded your life.
so he owns it?
Sayuri, I know what it is like to try and scrape by without a dana.
I want you something. Anything else?
Renting rooms, scrounging for every meal. Is this the life that you want?
I want a life that is mine.
Nobu has never treated you with anything but kindness.
I don't want mere kindness.
What? What more can we expect? Geisha.
So, Pete, we know Michelle Yeoh from Crouching Tiger, from the Bond pictures, from all those action flicks where she chops guys down, and, of course, now from Memoirs of a Geisha.
Yes, we've invited her here because I wanted to kick your ass. So let's bring her on in.
She'll do it.
Okay. Hello.
Stage left, stage right. I did figure out which was stage left or stage. So in Geisha, one of the things that's fascinating is that the performers from so many different countries, and yet the decision was made to use a certain patois. What did you feel when you were told about that? Because it's certainly not the way you speak naturally.
Like Hollywood movies or European films, I do not think you have a problem when you cast an English actor playing a German or an American playing a French, as long as the person looks right for the role. I don't think you look at the passport. Your passport is not on the screen. The character is. And as an actor, you step into the shoes and you deliver your roles. For us, when in Asia, in all the Asian or Chinese films or the Korean or the Japanese films, we play each other all the time. So that was never an issue. It was never brought up for us.
So many of your pictures have been action pictures, pretty tough pictures. I mean, it is quite a jump for you, isn't it?
This, I guess, is physical in a very different sense of the word. In my action movies, your anger or your fury or your physical abilities is allowed the platform to punch and kick and fight with five guys at the same time, run on rooftops. Whereas in this film, everything, all the whatever passion you were feeling was all contained. And sometimes, at one point in the film, I wasn't quite sure which was more difficult. You know, to feel all that, but yet I wasn't allowed to vocalize it. And definitely there was no grand movements where, you know, I'd hurl the cup across.
What's funny is that so many of her roles she beats the shit out of guys, and in this movie she's trained to please guys. I mean, that's a big deal.
Well, the anger's within, maybe.
Oh, yes. Yes, be careful when it
I
comes.
think you're happier beating the shit out of guys, though, anyway.
She throws something at you, Bart, you are going to be maimed. You do your own stunts, too, don't you?
I do. I have a great team. I work out with them so they know my physical abilities. You have to be very honest with yourself. You have to be scared. You have to be fearful of what you're doing. Wow. Because if you don't, then when you're nonchalant, it's so easy to be hurt. Because there's always that little risk. Because at the end of the day, you know, it's about people jumping off things.
What's the toughest stunt you've done?
I think the one that just stayed with me throughout, it must have been in Police Story 3, the movie that I did with Jackie. That was the first time I felt pain. I was thinking, what was I thinking? In that movie, I jumped on a motorbike onto a moving train. And that wasn't the most difficult. The most difficult was actually when I was rolling off the truck and I had these bullets coming through me and I had to fall. Let's say I'm on the truck here and Jackie is coming in with a car at the bottom and I'm supposed to land on the bonnet. And when I land, his windshield breaks. And you're going, hey, it's not such a big job. It's about 6-7 feet. I've done this many times before. No problem. So we get out, and I'm on the rooftop of the truck, and we're pulling out. And then the car starts going like 30, 40 miles an hour. Then I'm looking down, thinking, whoa, hang on. It's no longer, still, you know, how, when? All right, let's just go for it. And I did. I took a deep breath, and I flipped on it. Then the glass didn't break. And I started to slide down this car. And all I remember was trying to grab onto the bonnet. And I was going, and I could see poor Jackie. He was horrified because he knew what was coming up, the floor. And he was trying to reach for me, and he got my shirt, and I was like there, and I hit. And I guess it's the years of training in martial arts and all that. You learn how to fall. That's the most important thing, is how you're going to fall. So I was sitting on all I remembered, I was sitting on the floor completely winded and thinking, okay, now I know what it feels like when you flip off the truck onto a moving car. And my director, Jackie, is running away. Okay, cut, we're calling it a day, no more filming, enough. And then my director, who knows me very well, he sat with me and he said, are you okay to do another one? Because I knew I wasn't hurt. And I said, yes, right now. Because don't go home and think about it. You have all the emotions, you have all the feeling. Well, we did it in another take.
Well, if you ever get tired of acting, you can just open a class in Hollywood teaching people how to take a fall. Because
no.
That would be very
There
apropos.
are a lot of experts doing that already.
How did you get in state for the movie? The place where it was shot was odd. It wasn't like shot in Japan or China. It was shot here. You know, if you're doing a film like Empire of the Sun or a film that's Last Emperor, you go to the place where the whole environment just sucks you into the mood. How did you get in state for the movie?
It's all the different layers. It's the hair, the makeup, the costumes, and honestly, the set. If you were there, you would have believed that you were not in L.A. You were not in Ventura Farms. It was incredible. There were the ladies in their kimonos, you know, the men, and all the Japanese outfits, little rickshaws running around, cherry blossoms in full bloom, you know, moss on the embankment. You literally were transported back in time. But it needed that. You're right. They created the environment where it wasn't just two-dimensional. It wasn't hollow. When you walked on the cobblestones, that was what it was. You know, all the little shops that were there, they had all the wares, the sake being sold, you know, the fabrics. Every place made up, and every layer that was needed for our characters is, for example, the kimono. Every layer that went on, it was a reminder of what are you playing.
How did you come to this film?
I read the book. I think like a lot of people did. And I think at that time when I first read it, you know, I'm sure anybody who's in our industry would know when you read something and you think, that is a masterpiece in the making. It's got all the elements. But then if you look at it realistically, it came out about 8 years ago, and all Asian cast, and it needed a substantial budget to support the kind of film that needs to be made. Who would have the guts? Which studio would have the guts to turn around and say, okay, we'll support an all-Asian cast, and we're not all A-list, we're not A-list actors. Ken Watanabe probably is our, you know, hottest thing there. I wanted so much to be part of this. And when I heard that Rob Marshall was casting for it, I guess I just called my agent like 50 times a day saying, did you get me in there, Lee? Come on, Stallman, get your ass moving, okay? I want to meet Rob Marshall.
Right.
And fortunately, the phone call came. And you know when you want something so bad, but you know you have, like a lot of people, I think when they look at me, they see all the action films that I've done. I needed to make sure that when I walked through the room, I wasn't an action figure. I was the feminine, the very strong, the very graceful character that he needed.
Yeah. How did you feel about the geisha culture?
You know, they are very, very strong women. They are women. We are very fortunate. We, as parents, we don't have to make that kind of decisions for our daughters, where you think that by selling them to, if they're lucky, they would get accepted in a geisha house. If they were unlucky, they would be turned away and sent to the pleasure district, a prostitute place. That we don't have to make these kind of choices for our children or for ourselves. Geishas were really moving artists. And if you look at the characters, they are very strong. They are great businesswomen. They know why they are in there. And also they understand that they have dedicated themselves. They accept where they have gotten to.
But their culture was about pleasing men rather than about growing themselves as people.
I think it was a little bit about manipulation. It was a little much about a chess game. Okay? It's very nice it's easier to say, oh, we are pleasing you. But you are doing a lot of things for us in return.
It's great to talk to you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank
Great
you.
fun.
It made it so much fun.
Good.
America and Europe has got a greater tradition, a much longer tradition, and a much bigger market where you have a much more diversified films. I think it's very important for China to open up slowly. I think there have been examples where a communist country said, okay, you know, we're ready for the rest of the world, and look what's happened to them. The diversity in China is so great, where you have the very affluent and where poverty-stricken areas, where areas of where they haven't even got electricity, they haven't got the right education. So if you open up the place too quickly and too fast, I think it will be downhill from there.